Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Moscow, and welcome to an apartment tour video. Now I know a lot of people love watching these apartment tours, and I've been given a chance to show you an elite apartment here in Moscow, and I think it might be interesting to have a walk around. I'll show you very briefly the territory where I am here, and then we're going to head on in and have a look at the apartment. And at the end, we'll talk about the price because it's listed for rent right now. Maybe somebody wants to move to Moscow and live in a place like this. Where I am here in Moscow is called Zarechye, and this is the region where this apartment is. This is actually a gated complex, and they have this very nice central area here with the Christmas tree. Now, the one thing you're going to notice is there's not a lot of snow because we've not had snow falling in at least 10 days now. Actually, the weather is starting to warm up a little bit, and that beautiful winter in Moscow doesn't quite feel the same. Even the small ice skating rink right here is starting to melt, and it's very difficult to now skate. They've got a little area set up for kids here. And what I want to show you is an apartment in one of these buildings. Now, they're actually all quite similar from the outside, and because the people living there would like to remain private, which I completely understand, I'm not specifically going to show you where it is. Now, all of these buildings are quite similar. I will put a link to the location where I am roughly, and the actual region is very close to Skolkovo, and it's in the southwest of Moscow. Actually, it's not that far from where I live. However, to get here, I've had to catch a taxi, a train, a metro, and then another bus. Now, I probably could have easily just got a taxi here. However, I'm very much a public transport user, and catching them to come to places in Moscow is very easy for me. And it was about an hour from my place. However, we're going to have a look around a Russian elite apartment building. And this place is very large, and it's very much a family apartment. Now, they're actually more like townhouses the way this complex is set up versus traditional 10 or 20 or 50-story buildings. So it's definitely got that homely family feeling to it. I'm not sure what's happening with the swan and the birds right there. But just have a look at the territory we are here. It's very quiet. You can hear a tiny bit of noise from the road, but it's a very quiet part of Moscow where we are. And these apartments are very large and very much family orientated. The people who currently live there have a very large family, and this is exactly why they like this place and this area. And I think it might be an interesting apartment tour with a bit of a difference to some of the others that I'm showing you. Everybody wants me to show larger apartments. Show me bigger family orientated apartments. And a lot of people are asking, don't show me 20 square meter boxes. So here we are at this gated community, or micro district if you like to call it, and we're going to go have a look around a nice big apartment. If you come across this video for the first time, I'm an Australian living here in Moscow, and my channel as a whole is about life in Russia, and particularly I cover a lot of things in Moscow and Moscow region, and I hope this video is interesting for you. It is for me because I get to go and see a much larger apartment as part of a playlist that I'm putting together on the channel of different housing that's here in Moscow and Moscow region, which is the surrounding areas. And this place is currently listed for rent, and the family that's currently here are very shortly moving out, and someone else will perhaps move in. Maybe you might like it, I don't know. If you do, I guess send me a message. Now, the apartment itself is 200 230 square meters. Now, just imagine if you've watched an old video on the channel, I've shown apartments as small as 15 square meters. So this is 230 square meters, and it's considered a 5-room apartment. Now, in Russia, they like to call them rooms rather than bedrooms because they count lounge rooms and offices as rooms as well. But it's a very large place, and I'm going to give you the price of the rental at the end of the video. So perhaps as you're looking around it in the video, let me know in the comments maybe what you think this place rents for, because it might be interesting where you are on that scale. Then perhaps you can edit the comment afterwards once I've told you the price at the end. It looks like Bambi and his friend are not perhaps enjoying the weather right now. It is actually plus temperatures today here in Moscow, and we're in January and it's plus 4 Celsius. It's actually almost warm for a lot of people. Now, what I just wanted to briefly show you is some of the cars here, because BMW, Mercedes, there's a Maserati right there. So I think perhaps it gives you an idea of the complex where I am, and this is considered an elite apartment complex. Now, there is different categories of apartments in Russia, and they start from economy, then comfort, then business, and then elite. So this is in that level or category. How they determine that, I think it's based on the different things that the complex offers. Now, this is gated and there's security at the doors. Actually, for me to come in here, it was a bit of a struggle. Even the people living here, although they informed them I was coming, were still a little bit curious about my reason to come here. So yeah, an elite apartment, over 200 square meters. I hope everybody's ready for this tour. The whole complex actually has undercover parking as well. So you could park up by your apartment, or you could park undercover, which is very nice, especially in winter if you want to look after your car and you want to keep it nice and clean. So the whole undercover area of the street is underground parking, so you can actually drive right in, and then you can go to the elevator up to your apartment from there. The one thing I will say as I'm walking around the grounds of this complex is it's very peaceful and very quiet, and also some very nice established gardens and trees as well. And there's also a children's playground here, so the kids can come and freely play as they wish. Now, I know the family that are living in this apartment love the fact that the kids can go out and play themselves, and there's literally no traffic. A few cars come and go, and that's about it. But have a look how beautiful it looks with these fir trees and then the forestry in the background right there. The apartment we're going to see will actually be up on the first level. Now, there's actually 3 levels in most of the buildings, and some of these lower ground floor levels have their own outdoor area or garden. And of course, in winter, it's not very useful. But have a look at what someone's done with this place. They built a conservatory and all the trees and plants right there. This is very un-Russian-like. What do you think? One of the drawbacks to living in a community like this is you're not close to public transport. There is a bus stop about 5 minutes walk from here, which takes you to another part of the region. Now, most people, or almost everybody that lives here, would use cars, and you could drive to one of the metro stations. There is 3 metro stations within around about a 7 or 10 minute drive. And if you wanted to go to the Makad, which is the main ring road here in Moscow, it's only 5 kilometers from here. And a lot of people in Moscow use that as a piece of information about how close you are to something. Now, to get to Red Square physically. It's right about 20 kilometers from Red Square. And to drive, depending on traffic, it would take you around about 30 minutes by car. This is quite accessible to a couple of different highways where I am here. So you could walk to a metro station, and the nearest one is 43 minutes walk. I just looked it up on maps, how to get there. Now I'm going to catch a bus to go home eventually. But I think really most people who would choose to live here would not be using public transport and wouldn't be walking to a bus stop or a metro station or train station, and they want to use their car and head on somewhere else into Moscow. I think from walking around, almost every apartment is slightly different and has some different quirks to it, and there's some apartments with open balconies as well. Now, of course, in summer, it'd be perfectly fine to sit out, but in wintertime, like right now, they'd just totally be not useful at all. And we're gonna head on inside and head up to the apartment and go for a walk around. Someone has a Tesla, and nice Mercedes right here as well. But a Tesla in Russia, they do exist. Let's head on inside and check out this apartment. So let's head on inside and have a look around. And the first thing that you see, which is very common in older apartments and perhaps not so much in newer apartments, is it's got the double door entry. So this is the traditional heavy door that you see in so many apartments, and it's actually really very heavy. And then you've got a second door which walks you into the apartment, and you come on inside. Now, I've talked about this a lot. You take your shoes off when you come to somebody's house, whether it's your friends, your family, or you're coming to see a house that's for sale or for rent. And what we'll do is we'll have a bit of a walk around, and I'll show you some of the features of this apartment. Now, it's got quite a lot of rooms, and some of the family are currently here. This, again, is listed for rent, and I'll talk about the price at the end. I think it might be interesting to figure that out. So when you first come in, you have this very large reception area. I think that's what they call them nowadays. Have a look at the light fixture. This is where you can put your jacket. My jacket's actually in one of the cupboards. Then even there's a cupboard to put your shoes as well. How nice is that? And because of the fact that it's a closed territory, you actually have a camera system to open the door downstairs. And when I came, it was a little bit challenging to get into the closed area. However, I met the person that's staying here and it wasn't a problem. Have a look at the mirror right here. And now the whole apartment has central heating. We will see some of these in the different rooms. And then certain rooms also have underfloor heating. Now, depending on the people that would have actually done the construction here, they would have had perhaps quite a few extra rooms that have central heating. And we'll see the kitchen in just a second. I think I want to first show you, okay, this very nice ornate cabinet. Now, this rental is fully furnished, so pretty much barring personal possessions, everything that you see is the actual rental and what you're paying for. So all the furniture is part of the place. There's actually an office right here. Nice big windows where we came in from downstairs. And then, of course, the usual things when you come into someone's office, bookshelf, and all of the lighting has these lights where you can actually put the temperature of the lights on and off as well. That may not seem too critical. Hello, Здравствуйте. And then we'll come and have a look at the kitchen here. Nice big dining room table. Have a look at that. 8 seats. Another chandelier. Now, what's very interesting, and when I first came in to have a look, they've got these windows between the kitchen and the lounge room, and we will go in there in a few minutes. But it's just very interesting to see that. And I've seen it in older apartments. In the original Khrushchevkas, they had them between the kitchen and the bathroom. And you don't see it in modern apartments. Nice kitchen. And then you've got the fridge right here built in. Dishwasher, hot plate, everything you need for life. And then coming around, you have a few different bathrooms, as we'll say. And this one actually has the massage chair right there. There is I guess it's the visitor's toilet. Have a look at the toilet system. Now, if you're from England, I think this may be very familiar to the chain pull toilets. And have a look at the gold pipes as well and gold taps. That's really amazing. You don't see glass doors on the bathrooms and toilets in most apartments. Somebody is a little bit thirsty, I think. Now this, I think the light will go on. Now this is not being used by the people who are currently living here, but this is a hammam or hanan. And I think, is it Turkish? It's the way I see it, it's like a steam room or a heat room. Somebody correct me. I think that's all of the electrics for the apartment right here and all of the circuit boards. And then this hammam. If anyone's been and had one before, let me know in the comments, because I've never had one before. I've been in a Russian banya, but not into this kind of steam room. And for it to be built into your house as well. And there's a long corridor here leading to different bedrooms and bathrooms. Now I did walk around prior to making the video, and very interesting. So this is considered the family bathroom or the children's bathroom. Now, of course, sink, shower with all of the functions and the lights. So there is a bidet right there. There is a regular toilet. And then there's a urinal. And please tell me if you've seen one in a family apartment before, because I think it's rather unique. I want to make sure I switch off the lights. Now, I'm not too sure where we are here. So there is actually 3 bedrooms right here. And I think this is the utility room or the laundry room. Now, I get this a lot in many videos, the question about how do you dry your clothes. Now, in this apartment, they have a tumble dryer. They have a traditional washing machine. And then in everyone's apartment that doesn't have a dryer, you have a drying rack. This one right here is pretty much the most common one in all of Russia that you would use. There's another sink right here. And then the hot water tank. And this would only be used in summertime. They switch off the water across all of Russia for maintenance. This actually has underfloor heating in this room. There's an extra fridge here. And very typically, you don't have laundry rooms in Russian apartments. However, because this is so much larger, it's commonplace that they've got one. There we go, let me put the lights on. And then this is another bedroom, but it can also be a lounge room. One thing I want to point out is the high ceilings, if you can see that. So there's a bed here. So it is a traditional bed and bedroom. And then wardrobes, another sofa. Not too sure, is that like a climbing frame right there? And then, of course, TV. So you could have this as a nice extra lounge room or a bedroom. Because a few people are actually home while I'm filming this, I'm being very polite to the people that are living here. And I'm filming one room and then they're all moving to another room and back and forward. And generally when I make apartment tours, nobody's at home. But as this is a listed rental right now, people are going to be moving out at some point, and then when somebody else is found for the rental, they'll move in. Maybe somebody watching this wants to rent it, let me know. And that's why there's a few just different breaks, and I've just avoided one room back at the entrance, and I'll show that in a minute. So I hope it comes across in the video that you can get an idea of the whole space of this apartment. Coming back out into the hallway, we'll go into the next bedroom. So technically this place has 3 bedrooms. However, the way they word it, it's a 5-room apartment. So they count bedrooms and lounge rooms as rooms. So this actually would be just a traditional bedroom. And then the sofa's been pulled out as an extra bed as well. Let's see if we can get the lights on here. No? There we go. I think they must be on extra dim. You can see this is a girl's room, all the pink color. And then all of this furniture. So again, this is completely included. So the people who live here just have their own possessions, and it's completely furnished as a rental. Very nice. I think the girls probably love this room because of the color and the lighting. And again, kids' bedroom with no TV. The kids don't have TV, they don't have even music or a stereo or anything like that. Kids' bedrooms in Russia are for sleeping, and that's it. Now I do have a question for everybody as I go into the main bedroom. Now in Australia, we call this the master bedroom. Now I want everybody to let me know in the comments what you call this main room and what it should be called. Have a look at the furniture in here and the mirror on this wall on the side. There is a TV in here. It looks almost out of place when you see all of the furniture. Some nice big windows. And the look now, the lighting probably doesn't come out as well on the camera as in person, but just very nice furniture. And then there is actually a balcony attached here, which is nice. And depending on where you live in Russia, here in Moscow, we call this the Moscow fridge. And I'm fairly sure this doesn't have heating, and you can actually see from the windows that it's a bit fogged up, so it's a little bit colder. So you can actually store things out here, and you can put, like you see the jars right there, and it's a second fridge. You don't really sit out and use a balcony in Russia like you might do in other countries. What do you think of this bedroom? And all these wardrobes. Now I'm going to be polite and not open them. However, there's a lot of storage. And then also, I just noticed, they also have air conditioning. So perhaps in summertime, it's a must. And then we've got the bathroom right here, or the main bathroom. And have a look at the shower and the shower rose. Is that the right name? And again, have a look, there's the men's toilet, or urinal, bidet, and normal toilet. And actually this has underfloor heating. I can feel this nice and warm. Have a look at the lights as well. And even the towel rail is super fancy and nice and warm at the same time. One thing I would like to know is where they got this curved shower rail from, because for our apartment, we need one in our apartment, and we don't have one, and all the water splashes out of the shower. As we walk back towards the kitchen and then the main living area of the apartment, the total square meters is 230 square meters. And if I compare that to where I live, it's obviously considerably larger. Maybe quite a few of the other videos on my channel, it's a larger area as well. I've just noticed also some of the lights have sensors. So when you walk through, the lights go on and off. Is that a power saving thing? I'm not too sure. Let's go and see a couple more of the rooms. Let's go and have a look in the main living room or lounge room. And I can't get past this furniture right here and the choice of furniture that the person that owns this place has. And it's just so interesting to come to such a much bigger apartment and how they've designed it and how they built it. And then this is the main living area or lounge room. Have a look at the big windows. Now you could see these from outside, but you get a much better feel for the place. And then in certain rooms, they've also got the ducted heating coming through the floors right here. And you can see, looking back at the territory and the other apartments around. And then have a look. The main sitting room. Is that the correct English word to say? And then you can actually see up there the glass windows going from the kitchen. And I'm not sure of the design idea behind it. I understand it from some much older apartments that they did it between the bathroom and the kitchen. But you don't really need a light to be let in here. Well, I don't think so. Nice big coffee table. Have a look at that. And then the rental, what you're seeing in the cabinets is all part of the rental. I think you probably would never open the cupboards to have a look and use anything that you see. But very nice. And I keep saying that because I've had a chance myself to come and see a elite apartment here in Moscow. And just how nice. I mean, a lot of the factor of the pricing of this is the furniture and the finishing of the place. And I'm not sure how expensive these sofas would be. However, even if you just look at the design of the curtain rails and rods, this is very normal looking to me. Perhaps some people may say it's over-decorated, but it's really each to their own. Now, I wonder if anyone's been keeping count how many sofas we've seen in the apartment. If someone lets me know in the comments how many there are. Very interesting in all the cupboards, these different tea services that they've got. My mum, if she's watching, she's got a couple of different cabinets and she has some tea services from my grandparents. It's really nice to see them when you come in here. I want to see this view again out the windows. So I've made it back downstairs now, and I thought I'd do the ending here in the gardens of the gated complex where we are, and we go through the price for this apartment. Now, there's quite a few things to keep in mind with the price, and I'd like everybody to let me know in the comments what you think and perhaps what you thought it was worth before I'm telling you now, and afterwards maybe your opinions will change a little bit. Now, a few things to keep in mind with the apartment itself is it was 230 square meters. Now, I'm not sure if I said 220 or 230 in the video because I've been here for quite a few hours. So 230 square meters was the total of the apartment itself. I've got some statistics here so I can remind myself. It was a 5-room apartment, and of course bedrooms and living areas are counted as the rooms, which is very normal in Russia. Had a few quite unique features. It had a full laundry, it had multiple bathrooms, it had the hammam. I think I'm getting that word correct. Now, the actual apartment itself is fully furnished, so essentially everything you saw in the apartment is exactly what you would get if you were to rent it as a furnished apartment. And that's also very typical in Russia. People don't take their furniture with them. Even when people sell apartments like that, they'd sell it furnished and it would factor into the price of the sale of the apartment as well. Now, also, we are 5 minutes from the Makad. I've mentioned that a little bit earlier, and that's a main highway in Russia. Now, I think pretty much 99% of people who live here have a car, or they'd use even a taxi or car service to come and go from here. Maybe not like myself, where I'm going to have to walk now to the bus stop to catch the train home. So that's really important. 5 minutes from the nearest main highway. And then we're right about 20 kilometers from Red Square. Now, I use that always as a reference with the apartments. However, most people, depending on where you live in Moscow, aren't going to Red Square. But it's a very central place in Moscow and then Moscow region as a whole. So it's a good way to understand how far we are from the center of Moscow. I'm not even sure which direction it is. I've never been to this part of Moscow myself. I know the area very well from the fact that my train to my house passes not too far from here, but to walk there, it's just a little bit too far. So yeah, now the price. So this is currently listed for rent. The family living there are shortly moving out and moving to somewhere else. And this was a temporary rental for them. So you could perhaps see some of the possessions, and the personal items in the apartment is what they'll end up just leaving with and moving somewhere else. Now, it's listed for rent for 400,000 rubles per month. And I'm going to put the prices here for you. I'm also going to put a couple of different currency exchanges. However, you could put it into your own currency somewhere else in the world. So 400,000 rubles per month is the price to rent that place exactly how you see it. You get a set of keys, you come with your luggage, and that's it. Even all the cutlery is there, all the plates, all the things in the kitchen. You just need to bring some food as well. So if I break it down to different currencies, 4,119 US dollars, 3,922 euros, 3,297 Great British pounds, so if you're from the UK, and then Australian currency, which I don't normally cover in the videos, $6,541 per month. Now, I am curious with everybody where you live. Do you pay your rent monthly or do you pay it weekly? Now, when I was living in Australia, I was actually on a weekly rental in the apartment where I was living. However, in Russia, it's very common that you pay weekly or monthly, depending on your person that you're renting from. So 400,000 rubles per month. Now, the one thing that I don't know, which I'm sorry to not be able to give you that information, is what the utilities are for this apartment. Now, based on the size of it, I think it will be a little bit higher than what I'm paying. Now, utilities for this sort of apartment would be water and electricity. If you want Wi-Fi, normally there's an extra charge per month, but Wi-Fi in Russia is very cheap. Around about $8 or $9 US per month is your internet. Now, I think probably roughly you'd be paying around about $200 a month for electricity, water, and it would also cover heating as well. So in winter right now, central heating is on. So around about $200 US per month. You'd have to work that out yourself. Maybe it's a little bit less, but I'm just basing it on the amount of square meters of the apartment. That's generally how they work it out. And your water would be metered, and it's not a whole lot more or less per month. I think unless you're using every shower and every bath twice per day, it wouldn't go up a whole lot from month to month. So let me know in the comments what you think of the apartment and visiting an elite Russian apartment. Now, I always use the word typical because in Russia and here in Moscow, there is a lot of these places, particularly outside the center of Moscow. There's a lot of these gated private micro districts and communities where people live in apartments like this, and apartments this large or bigger. Now, this is considerably larger than the place that I've lived in and the different apartments I've lived in over the years here. So it's super interesting to be given a chance to come and see something like this and have a look around. So please let me know in the comments your opinions. Now, this is a Russian typical apartment. And of course, there is niche or an amount of people in Russia who can afford to live here. There'll be people who own apartments here, not just rent them. However, this place is listed for rent right now, and I'm going off exactly the statistics from the leasing agent for this. Now, I will put in the description some more information about where I am. However, because the people living there want to remain private, I won't give any exact details. However, if you're interested in the renting of this place in a message or on Telegram, I can certainly help you out with it if you wish. If you like the video, maybe give it 2 thumbs up. And I think it's really interesting for me to come and see some different apartments and not all the same. Post a comment, let me know what you think. I hope this video has not gone on too long. I wanted to give a nice walk around of the complex and all these different buildings. There's quite a lot in front of me and around me here, and give you as much information of the apartment as possible. And to get to see a Russian elite apartment. Now, I do have friends and my wife has family that lives here in Russia. However, it's not so easy to get tours of people's houses and apartments. I would wish to do more of them. So if you do live in Moscow or Moscow region, let me know in the comments or contact me on Telegram. And if you're willing to open your doors, I'm happy to make a video about it, and I can put it here on the channel and give more information about living here in Russia, and particularly here in Moscow. So yeah, if you want to follow me on Telegram, the link to my channel is right here. And then if you want to see another video on the channel, I'll put another apartment tour for you to look at. You can click that and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.